everyone, my name is Prism, and welcome back to another video. Guys, today is finally the day. A couple weeks back, I went and saw James Gunn's Superman on July 12th of 2025, and I admit that I should have put this review out a lot sooner, but I'm doing it before I go out on a trip. Supposedly, if the editing gets delayed, then this video will come out after the trip, but for now, we'll plan on it coming out before. Anyways, I saw James Gunn's Superman a couple weeks ago, and I have quite a few thoughts to say about it. And I'm going to start by saying this. James Gunn nailed it. James Gunn made a Superman movie that was excellent. That was not only great in cinematography, editing, music, lighting, acting, action, spectacle. He made a Superman movie that got Superman. At the end of the day, that is what was most important. That he got the character. Superman in this film is, I would argue, the closest to Christopher Reeve. He's got that personality of charm to him, but he cares at the end of the day for everyone. Doesn't matter what conflict it is, whether it's political or an alien race or whatever. He made Superman a character that lives on kindness and hope and the betterment for tomorrow. He's the man for tomorrow, as many would call him. James Gunn, what he did was he made a Superman movie where Superman is not tired, he's not cranky, he's a symbol of hope, that no matter what is going on, he strives to do the right thing. No matter what life throws at him, he strives to make a difference. He may get angry, he may get sad, but at the end of the day, he is trying his best. Superman is not perfect, and James Gunn very much highlights that he is not perfect. He gives him reasons that he is not perfect. But at the end of the day, the character still is a symbol of hope and an ideal for people to strive towards. I will put it like this. I was very excited to see this film. A little bit anxious. A lot of great reviews, some bad reviews, some hot takes. And I walked out of the film so pleased. I think this is how you reboot Superman for the modern day. I think the Christopher Reeve films are great. The first two specifically. I think they really get the character, especially the first one, and I like where they take it with the second one. But I'll admit they're kind of more boring. They aren't kind of the thing that I'd want to watch all the time. But James Gunn's Superman is the best way to remake that. He goes with it in a great direction. For one, spoilers. Is it really spoilers? He's made it very obvious. No origin story. You don't get all the Krypton stuff. You don't get all of that. We just know that Superman came to Earth these many years ago. We get some text at the beginning. I'll just say that. It kind of explains everything. He doesn't need to show us everything. He explains it. We move on. He's on Earth. He's just lost the battle. And we have to see where he is now. And where the story takes it from there. Oh boy. Where the story takes it. You know, I heard the claim that a lot of the footage in the trailer was in the first 30 minutes. I did not know where exactly in the first 30 minutes, because my goodness, this film, one, flies by really fast, but also, scenes that you think would be later in the film are straight up in Act 1 and 2. This film has some crazy ideas, but there is so much sincerity to it. It's not James Gunn just trying to have fun and do whatever the heck he wants. We've seen films that are like that. No, this is him trying to reinvent the character. Not even reinvent it. That's the wrong term. Because he's not trying to change Superman, but he's trying to bring him up to modern expectations. The same person, but let's make a film that is way more fun and exciting. And look, there's a lot to love about this film. The characters... all of the characters have something about them. I'd say almost all of them. There's one or two, maybe a few more that could get some work, but the main set of characters, Clark, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Krypto, his parents, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, all these characters, I would say, get enough screen time, enough explanation for who they are. You know, I might have an issue with, oh, I don't really like the interpretation they did of his parents on Earth, or I don't really like Hawkgirl as a character. But, you know, those are small things, and those are things that could be worked out. And very clearly, James Gunn's trying to go in a different direction with things. And I'm sure that things like Hawkgirl, oh, I don't really like her as a character, well, they'll make a Hawkgirl TV show or something to try and fix that. But this is Superman's movie. And the characters that they need you to care about, for you to understand the plot, you care about. They take some bold swings with this film. They do. They take some really bold swings. And, you know, there's one hand where you're going, why the heck are you even trying this? But then you watch it and you're like, I've never thought about that. But that adds so much to his character. And my goodness, I just love James Gunn's Superman. Can I just say that I think Krypto is the cutest film dog? I think James Gunn perfectly balances Krypto with stupidity and just plain heart. There are some very dumb moments. There's some times where it maybe goes a bit far. But at the end of the day, he's just a dog. And we could say the same thing about any dog. You love them. Sometimes they do very dumb things, and sometimes they go way too far. But at the end of the day, they're still lovable dogs. And I think it helps that James Gunn had his own dog, so he could very much base it on real-life experience, which I guess is the best actor in that case. Look, this film gets a lot right. I love this movie. I walked out of the cinema, and I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. And on Letterboxd, I gave it all 5 stars. I seriously think that if this is the quality of DCU content, they barely need to change anything. You could have some slight changes, maybe some characters could get more time, or maybe you could change the score a little bit. But if this is meant to be a demo reel for the quality of DC Studios, I'm all for it. I am sat in the cinema. Any project they make, if it's something I'm interested in on its own, if it has this level of quality, I'm interested. Like, I am really excited for what they've got here. I am really excited. I think they're going to have some really great projects. I'm already excited for next year's Supergirl, and for Lanterns. Peacemaker's not really my thing, but do I think it'll have that same level of quality? I do, because James Gunn has a highly proven track record. But of course, I didn't come here to just talk about everything I loved about the film with no spoilers. I have to get into the spoilers of the film. So let's do that. Let me spoil everything about James Gunn's Superman that I feel like spoiling. And at the start of it, I will say this. I had no idea they were straight up going to make his parents villains. Clark Kent's, Kal-El's birth parents are not the Jor-El and I forget the other one's name. They're not the parents that you're used to. And that's a very bold swing. Making Superman's parents kind of villains. The idea that he, his whole life, could not hear the message, but he always assumed it was the best, and then finds out that, oh, my parents wanted me to be an enemy to this Earth and try to rebuild Krypton. I think it has some issues with where that goes narratively, but I think for this story it doesn't really, because if you think about it, it makes Superman stronger. It shows you that Superman is a man who thinks the best in people. He is not a person who would think his parents could say any such thing. And that is why it's so hard for him. It's all hard when we find out truths about people that we love or that we idolize. It's hard. But especially for Superman, who lives on that experience of believing the best in everyone, it's hard. But despite the people's disgrace about it, despite the people's lack of trust in him, he doesn't change a thing. He's still the same Superman. He does not budge. He does not cry. I'm sure he does. but he doesn't lose himself as a character. He sticks to everything he knows. And, you know, some of those things may be him just saving Crypto because he cares about him, which may seem like a inconvenient subplot. But on the other hand, it highlights that Clark Kent cares about everyone. I think the moments in this film where he saves a dog from drowning and where he saves a squirrel from getting crushed, people could say, oh, that's just filling up the runtime. You don't need those. But, I mean, watch the original Superman. He would save kittens out of trees, and he would go fight Kryptonians. He cared about everyone. He would fight anyone's battles. He did not care for anything different. It could be a cat in a tree, it could be a man in the street, it could be a Kryptonian invasion. He cared about all the lives at stake. That is what Superman is really about. That he is about people. That he is about the very little creatures. He is about kindness above all else. But back to this. At first, I thought that was kind of weird. Like I said, I kind of got used to it. I don't know if I'm happy with it. I think that kind of does make his parents out to be villains. I mean, it does, if it's true. And they've said it's true, and I believe it's true, because I would feel like if they retcon it, that's very cheap. But, let's say they did. It still had a meaning. And let's say that it is true. It has a meaning. Both ways you look at it, it has a meaning. I just think this film is great. I think it takes Superman, and it doesn't need to make him this dark, arrogant, cranky, villainous person like Zack Snyder's. Which, I like Zack Snyder's Superman. I do. I like BVS. I like Man of Steel. Yeah, he's not the best, but I enjoy those films. I don't mind that interpretation. I think of it as if you're watching Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. They're all different interpretations. I think that's okay. And I think the same way with this. That James Gunn created a Superman that a lot of people can look up to in the modern day. And I think that's important. I think that's important, that he made a Superman that people can look up to, that people can care about, that people can root for. I think another thing, too, is building up to the Prism sequence. Superman's found out that his parents weren't who he thought they were. The world has turned against him, and he's been asked to go to court, to be tried for his actions, to be imprisoned. The world can't trust him. And Superman, despite being the most powerful person on Earth, says, I abide by the American laws. I will do this. I will go ahead and do this. And he has questions. He wonders why, and he's upset that this is what people think of him. But he would rather be imprisoned than create fear, than break the law and be a bad example. He is willing to take due process. And I think that's, great. I think it's really great that Superman is just, he's like every other citizen. He doesn't try and be above others. He doesn't use his power as a way to get what he wants. He uses his power to help those that cannot be helped. And he doesn't ask for anything. He doesn't even want photos. He just wants to help. Squirrels and dogs, cats and trees, he just wants to help everyone. And I think that's what James Gunn's Superman really gets right, by having little bits where he saves the squirrel, where he saves the dog across the ice river. It doesn't matter if the audience doesn't really care about the squirrel, or, the dog. People are like, oh, it takes up time. It isn't time to Superman, because it's someone. It is someone who would be in peril, and he wants to save them. And I think that's who Superman is. I think another scene, too, after this, like the whole scene with Metamorpho, where Superman's trying to get out of prison, and he says, I can free your son. This is not a manipulation on Superman's part. He genuinely means this. That, hey, I want out of prison, but this isn't about that even. This is about, hey, your son's in trouble, and the only way I can help him is if you can free me. And I think the scene that follows with Lex Luthor killing the person Superman's spoken to is really powerful. I think it's really intense. I think it's really dark. And I'm kind of surprised they put it in here. But it just shows you Lex Luthor's villainy, and it just shows you, like, who Lex Luthor is. He's not this crazy maniac. He is, but he's got this level of darkness to him, this level of, he's psychotic, but he's well educated. He's the most dangerous kind of person because he's crazy, but he knows what he's doing when he's crazy. Most of the time. Sending a entire world-eating vortex, yeah, that wasn't the brightest idea, but at the same time, he kind of knew that was going to happen. I just think the scene of Superman and Metamorpho together, and then this happens with the gun going off and him being killed, and then Metamorpho crying and realizing what he's done, that his actions have caused peril, really big peril for others. I think that hurts him. And I think that's a beautiful wake-up call that he gets to see this is a person who could help, and by not helping him, I'm letting others die. And it really makes Metamorpho more than just a cool visual effect. It makes him a character. It makes him a simple character because he doesn't have pages of writing, but maybe a stronger character isn't someone with a bunch of dialogue, it's someone with a simple human need of realization and reflection and care. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but I love this scene in the film. I think all the fight scenes in this movie are awesome. I think, the fight with his clone, which is a big reveal, honestly, not the best thing, in my opinion. Like, really, that was the big reveal, that it's just a Superman clone. I feel like you could have done more with that, but I do really like that having a Superman clone gave him a villain to fight that was, not just Lex Luthor nuking the world. I like that James Gunn crafted a secondary villain, but very much tied him to Lex Luthor's plot. Now, there are some weird things. I don't really like the girl that Jimmy Olsen's into. I don't really like the whole idea of Lex Luthor basically having video game controls set up for his evil Superman. But these are little things. There's very little issues that I have with the film. I don't like Hawkgirl as a character, but these are little things. Because I need to make this clear, there may be one or two characters I don't like. But if I like the core characters that I need to know to understand the story, if I like Superman, that is the end goal. You can make me hate Guy Gardner's Green Lantern. But if you make me like Superman, you've won. But back to that. He made Mr. Terrific an awesome guy. I don't know who he is. I've never read him in the comics. I don't read DC Comics or Marvel. But he made him so much fun. He's just kind of got this, charisma to him. He's this very techie dude. And he has all these powers. He's just very fun to watch. And the one-take sequence is beautiful. So I love that too. Like I said, I love what they did with, Metamorpho and Superman. Lois Lane gets an arc. Not really an arc, but a quest. More than just, oh, I love Superman. She actually gets to be part of the plot, which has been something that hasn't really been done in the films before. Or when it has been done, it's very minimal and very poorly done. But I think if there's anything else, look, I just love this film. I think at the end of the day, I love the film because it gets Superman. They don't make him some god. They don't try and say that he is a superhero version of Jesus. They make him a human. They make him a person with flaws. They make him a person that's very powerful. Yes, but he has emotions. He has a mindset. He has goals. But his number one goal is one that I think we should all strive towards, and that's to care about the smallest other. To care about everyone and everything over anything else. I'm not going to get deeper into that, but look, James Gunn's Superman's message isn't some big political dialect. It's that kindness is the greatest strength. And that is why Superman is a hero. He can lose a fight, he can not get back up, he can break all his limbs, but he was there. He tried his best. He stood back up every time he could. He was there. He was a beacon of hope for people. That is Superman. Now, of course, I do want to wrap up the review a little bit. There is one thing that was at the end of the film. There was a cameo before this, and this cameo here, this is a different character. I'd heard that they were going to show up in the film. I had heard it online. It was leaked quite a few months back. I didn't know where. I thought it was going to be a post-credit scene. But wouldn't you know it, Millie Alcock's Supergirl is in Superman. And I kind of love it. I'm going to be honest, I don't really think I like the idea of Supergirl being some drunk character is a great way to sell your movie. But I think it's a great way to set up a character for a redemption arc. And I think it makes so much more sense why Krypto was so misbehaved, because, well, his owner is not orderly herself. And I think it's going to be very, very fun to see where this goes. Look, I'm saying it, Supergirl is my most anticipated film next year. Even above Avengers Doomsday, I'm saying it. I am more excited to see a brand new universe, a brand new hero, a brand new villain. I'm more excited to see something new from DC than I am to see, the old X-Men and the Avengers coming to fight Doomsday. I'll be seated for both, I'm sure. But DC's fresh. And I like where they're going with Supergirl. I like Superman. I'm going to wrap it up with this. I don't think James Gunn's Superman is perfect. But oh my goodness, this is way better than I think anyone could have expected. And, the whole Snyder thing, I feel sorry for the people that wish the Snyder films had continued. I do. But I hope that they can move on and find joy in this film. And if they can't, that's okay. They had their universe. But for everyone else, I hope you all love Superman. Or if you don't, leave it down below. I love Superman. I think it's a great Superman film. It's a lot of fun. It's got Superman right. I could say a lot more things. I could say sentence upon sentence. I could have this review go on for 45 minutes. But at the end of the day, it's about this. Superman is a symbol of hope. And its greatest strength is kindness. And James Gunn got that right. It doesn't matter what powers he has. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter where he's from. I wouldn't mind a Superman story where he comes from the planet Pluto. It would feel weird, but would I still like him if he was Superman? Yes, I would. I'd still like him if he made a great story. And he did. Superman is excellent. I give this film a 9.5 out of 10. On Letterboxd, a 5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all for watching. My name is Prism, and bye for now.